period when they had failed to file the report.
But yet they still forfeit the money under the law, correct?
That's what we would ask them to do, is return the money to the people that they took it from.
Right.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask one more question? All right. If these municipal courts lose jurisdiction, does that mean that every case they've prosecuted since they should not have been prosecuting would then be discarded?
That's what the judge is going to tell us. That's one of the things we have yet to find out, but under our theory, they didn't have the authority to bring that case. That the court didn't have authority to act. Now, they can always just refile the charges. It's not like it doesn't end those charges. They want to go through that process. They have some options, but it's unclear.
I'm unclear, so let me ask it this way. I'm saying to you, if the municipal court lost its authority to act in traffic cases, and you could pinpoint the day that they lost that because of the way the law is written. If the law says if they're non-compliant, then they immediately lose it. If they were non-compliant 2 years ago,
Right.
does that mean that every case since that time is invalid?
Again, yeah, that's what we believe. That's what our lawsuit says. I'm sorry, there's no way to know because it's a new law. It hasn't been tested. No one's ever tried to enforce it. Our position is it was not valid for them to enforce the law in that court at that time. As soon as they failed to file their paperwork.
Thank you.
Last question, Gabe, and then Starsky will do a wrap up on this issue for us.
Hey, a couple quick questions. Mr. Harvey, you talked a little bit about a program you said that was in place in Alabama. Where in Alabama was that?
Montgomery, Alabama.
Montgomery, Alabama. So is the upshot
known for its liberal treatment of poor people?
So the upshot of the system that's been put in place there is that it's a system under which no one will ever spend time in jail simply because they can't pay the fine.
Absolutely, and that's how it should be. Right.
Right.
I mean, it should already be that way under the law in the state of Missouri.
Right, but that's something, I mean, you can have a regime set up, even if you were going to continue the enforcement exactly the way it was, you could have a regime set up whereby that's never a valid basis for holding someone in jail.
Exactly.
And then Mr. Leipholtz, question for you. When you went through your recommendations, one you had in there is this idea of pooling revenue from fines rather than letting the municipality keep it.
Correct.
When TR was speaking earlier, he was saying that the system of pooling sales revenue is something that people are finding unworkable now. And one thing that occurred to me is the one problem with those pooling circumstances is you're providing resources to maybe municipalities that don't really have the economic resources to survive, which might suggest they may be municipalities that shouldn't survive. And so if we start pooling that revenue, are we just going to perpetuate this system of some municipalities out there that...
Those municipalities are already taking 60% of their revenue from fines and fees. The ones that need it to survive are taking it. What I think pooling it would do is create distance between a direct incentive of fine $5, keep $5, and other municipalities that aren't fining in that way for the revenue is going to bring the amount that a municipality could possibly bring in down.
But isn't capping it a more direct and better way to accomplish that?
That would be fine too.
I mean, a 10% cap?
Yes, but I think when it comes to the sales tax, we want to encourage economic development. I don't think we want to encourage fining and have that incentive there. So that's how we kind of arrived at them being different. And again, our list of recommendations really comes from months of meetings with individuals, people who work in the system as well. There's no real magic bullet that we offer that we think solves everything. These are the comments and suggestions we got from experts in the community.
And let me ask you this, in your research, which I haven't had a chance to look at yet. Did you look into at all? Did you attempt to find any direct instances where the fines were clearly being driven by a desire to hit a certain revenue number? Is that something you looked at?
No, but what we couldn't get to that detailed of a level, but what we did find is we looked at several municipalities from 2008 on, and what we saw was a correlation between a decline in property tax revenue and an increase in municipal court fine and fee revenue. So, I mean, you know, it wasn't our belief that the economic downturn made people speed more, so we thought that it was probably more of a factor that municipalities were trying to find ways to survive and provide the same level of services at a time when most people couldn't do the exact same thing.